Hi everyone, Gary here again. Unfortunately my YouTube video cut out before the end, so I thought I'd record for you what I wanted to say at the end of that video, because there was a reason for doing those silly tricks. So if you remember, I did a thing with a bit of string around my neck and it looked like it went right through my head, which is great. I did a little thing with the bits of string on my finger with the two little birds who like disappeared and came back again. And I did a science experiment, of course, with jumping matchsticks, which wasn't quite what it seemed. And that's what I want to talk about for just a minute or two. Things not being quite what they seem. At the moment, we're going through a really very, very strange time. I mean, if you were able to kind of like click on the news like last month, but it to be kind of like this week's news, what would you have thought? Everything's shutting down, schools closed, not being able to go anywhere except for food and one bit of exercise a day. I mean, it's really, really strange and very interesting and actually quite scary, to be honest. I mean, the news is talking about kind of like the number of people who are dying because of this virus every day and how it is affecting everybody's lives, not just here in the UK, but all over the world. The whole world's been affected. And if you're not careful, you can get quite worried about it and scared. But I think things are not always as they seem. I'm a Christian, as some of you know. I believe in Jesus. I believe in a loving God. And people have said to me, actually, do you believe this is part of God's plan then? How can a loving God allow these sort of things to happen? And I don't claim to know all the answers. I don't know all the answers. But I do know some things. And I know that the world we live in at the moment is not the world the way God created it. I know that mankind has turned away from God, and the consequences of that are being felt all over the planet and beyond. Mankind's sin, his rebellion against God, has affected not only our hearts but creation itself. And so things like viruses and diseases are part of this planet now. I know that God has not abandoned us. He hasn't set up the world and then gone away on holiday or anything. He's still involved. He's spoke to people through the ages, through his written word. He's spoken through people, often called prophets, right the way through the ages. And ultimately, he's spoken to us in the person of his Son, Jesus Christ, coming to earth as a man and dying on a cross and rising again to make a way back to God for us. So I know God hasn't abandoned us. And I know that things are not always what they seem. In the Bible, there's a letter to the Christians in Rome. I want to read just a little bit to you. In chapter 8, it talks about all creation waiting in eager expectation for the sons of God to be revealed. For the creation was subjected to frustration. It talks about this world being subject to frustration because of man's sin. And it talks about creation itself longing for the day when it's liberated liberated from the decay that's come upon it. So it's saying that the world's gone wrong. Things are not what it is. It's decaying. It's in a state of frustration. And then Paul goes on to liken suffering at the moment and things bad about the world at the moment to pains of childbirth. So birth pains, which is really interesting because if you think about birth pains, a woman who's about to have a baby, it hurts. It hurts a lot. And those pains come in waves and they'll go away and they'll come back again, they'll go away and come back stronger. And the nearer it gets to the baby being born, the stronger and more frequent the pains are. But you see, the pain is not just a pointless pain, it's a pain for a reason. Because it shows the baby's being born and things are happening in the body to prepare that woman for the birth. So it's not a pointless pain. It's a hopeful pain. And that's really very, very interesting. And I think it's the same with the world. I think as we get nearer the time when this whole world's going to be liberated by Jesus when he comes back, things are going to get worse and things are going to get more painful. But it's not a pointless pain. It's preparing the earth for something new, when a baby comes along, the mum's really joyful, and she forgets the pain. And when Jesus comes back, it'll be a really joyful time, and we'll forget the pain. So pain is not pointless. And then Paul goes on to say something that I really love, and this is one of my favourite verses, and it's meant a lot to me over the last few years, where I've personally gone through a lot of hard times. He says, and we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him and who have been called according to his purpose. In all things, God works together for the good. Now, I just want to show you something. So just an illustration to finish. I'll just point this down here. Well, that's supposed to see that side, right? So this is a bit of material, and can you see it's interesting. It's all right. It's a bit messy. There's some sort of pattern going on there, but you don't know quite what it is. And this is the backside, if you like, of a tapestry, a little tapestry that I've got. And as you can see, you can't really make out the details, and you can't really work out what's happening there. I mean, what is that? What it's a picture of? And this is sort of like the view of the world that we as humans have. We see a little bit about what's going on, but we can't make out the big picture. It all seems like a little bit messy. This one's quite neat, but some tapestries are really messy at the back with bits of string hanging out and knots and stuff like that. But this is a view we humans have got. But see, God hasn't got that view, and he's the one making the tapestry. And if I was to turn that over, we'd get the bigger picture. I'll lay that down there. You see, look at that. That is what the picture is of. And that's a gorgeous picture of St. Petersburg, actually. And that's amazing. We as human beings can only see part of the picture, and we see all the loose ends, and we see all the strings and the knots and stuff like that. But God, who's a master artist, sees the big picture, and he sees what he is making. God works together all things for good for those who love and trust him. So things are not always as they seem. Well, thanks for listening to that. That's what I wanted to say. And well, be safe and spread love, not germs, and God bless you.